I would say it's never too late. If you have breath in your lungs and you're breathing, you can make a choice. We all have choices. We all have that free will. It's not too late to change.
Today, I'm really excited to be joined by an activist, leader, and pioneer. After a life that began in chaos, exploitation, and misery, she survived abuse, sexual exploitation, and a knife attack, all by age 23. She's since turned her life around. A successful businesswoman, wife, and mother, this incredible woman's resilience and courage continue to inspire young people, who she reaches through Living Without Limits, of which she is the founder and CEO. Living Without Limits works with schools, colleges, local authorities, the police, and community partners across the UK to prevent youth violence, exploitation, and crime. She's a powerful voice for change, equipping the next generation to make safer and more positive choices. Chantell, what an honour to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's an honour to be here.
So loads of what you do is about telling your story as a way of empowering other people. What is the power in telling your story, do you think?
I feel that when we actually keep our story to ourselves, we're holding something back that can actually help somebody else. Mm-hmm. And by telling our stories, it just really encourages other people to be more open. So I think transparency is really, really important.
That's so powerful, yeah. So what we're focusing on today is we're going to talk a little bit about knife crime and gang culture because we have our show Switch Up that goes into schools and addresses some of the issues around gang culture. So knife crime is something that you've experienced yourself in your life. Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened?
Yeah, so when I was in secondary school, I went through a lot of bullying. There was a lot of things I experienced in terms of, I think for me, the reason why I went for a lot of bullying is because I was seeking validation in boys because of like rejection from my dad and my stepdad. And so in secondary school, I wasn't liked by girls. So most of the girls in my school I was getting bullied by, but I was also getting bullied by like a particular girl, like bunch of girls that were from another school. Went through lots of stuff with them, went through a lot of physical abuse, physical violence. But the day that I actually got stabbed, I was 16 and I was walking home from school after doing my GCSEs. I was walking with my one friend that I had, which was my best friend. And we walked past another girl's house that went to my school as well. Out of the blue, she just came out of the house. She started arguing with me. I absolutely cannot even remember what it was about. She attacked me. Mm-hmm. Her sister and another girl came out and attacked me as well. But just before that, I'd swapped coats with my best friend. So I'd said to my best friend, like, I really, really like your coat. Can we swap? So that was about 20 minutes before the argument. During this fight or this attack that I was going through, this girl pulled out a thick bread knife and she stabbed me in my back, right behind my heart. And when I was actually rushed to the hospital, the doctor said that the words that he said were, "You're very lucky, Chantell." He said the coat that you was wearing saved your life. So had I not put that coat on just before, he said that the knife would have gone through and penetrated my heart and I probably wouldn't be sat here today.
Wow.
I know.
What an incredible story.
I know.
So your friend's coat literally saved your life?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's I feel like people often don't really understand like the serious like consequences of carrying a knife, and like quite often we hear about there's just been a fight and it's escalated and escalated.
Yeah.
But that actually any stab could be a death. Like it could have very easily been like the end of your story.
It could have, yeah.
And had you tried like talking to teachers or telling anyone about the bullying that had led up to that?
Yeah, the teachers knew what was going on. And the police were involved with the girls from the other school that were like attacking me every time they saw me, but nothing really progressed from it. I think back then, because it was quite a long time ago now, I don't think what I was going through was taken as seriously as it is now. So it's just, just going through bullying, and it wasn't really dealt with. There wasn't really anyone that supported me or that was there for me at the time. So I was kind of battling everything alone.
Oh gosh, that must have been so hard.
It was.
Yeah. I think often as well, knife crime is associated with like young men, and perhaps if they heard it was like groups of young men that were having this like violence or aggression, that maybe it would have been taken a bit more seriously.
Yeah.
So is knife crime a problem for young women as well?
It absolutely is. So there's so many stories now. Like when I got stabbed, it was such a long time ago, but there's so many stories recently, even when we've heard about that young girl that got stabbed in Croydon, she was stabbed in the neck and she died. In 2019, I think it was, there was that young girl, Ava White, who was 12. And at the time, she was the youngest girl or the youngest child to have been stabbed. And she was stabbed by a 14-year-old boy. It is a huge thing. It's not just... Knife crime is no respect to a person. It can be anybody. It can be anyone at any time. But a lot of the times, it is more focused on young men.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to use my voice so much, because I'm like, girls are suffering too.
Yeah. And what do you think the consequences are of it, if girls kind of being ignored in the narrative?
Because if girls are ignored, then more than likely girls are going to be carrying knives as well, even for boys, because they're feeling like, okay, well, guys will be giving them knives because they're thinking, well, she's not going to get searched because she's a girl. And at that time, she's now in a position where she could use a knife.
Yeah.
And there have been stories that I've looked at recently where young girls are carrying knives for boys.
And not always out of their own choice?
Not out of their own choice, yeah. A lot of the times you've got like gangs as well, and exploitation within gangs and grooming within gangs as well, where women are carrying for men because they've been exploited or they've been groomed or they think that's their boyfriend.
Yeah. So they can
much.
kind of be like the victims, but then they get made to look like the perpetrators,
Yeah.
or they become the perpetrators
Exactly.
because they've got the knives. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just so it's worldwide, and it's happening a lot more, and especially, like I said, amongst girls as well.
Yeah.
So it's really important that conversations are had and girls are also the focus as well. And it's not just a male issue.
Yeah. And I think like often one of the kind of discussions around knife crime is this thing of like, well, it's, tit for tat, or you've got to defend yourself because there's all these violent incidents going on. But I mean, a 12-year-old girl being stabbed in the neck, like I can't see how she'd be much of a violent threat to somebody else. So there's obviously something a bit more insidious going on there as well, a bit of like targeting.
Yeah, it's, of course, there's a lot of targeting, but you've got a lot of young people as well that are carrying knives because they feel that they're carrying knives for protection as well.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm speaking to these young people, I'm always saying to them, if you're going to carry a knife for protection, there's no protection in that, because if you end up in a fight, you're going to use that knife, especially if you're like losing in this fight. And also, if you do pull out a knife and that person's bigger than you or stronger than you, that knife could be taken from you and used on you. So there's no form of protection when it comes to carrying a knife.
Yeah.
Because you've got so many kids that probably thought, oh, I'm going to carry a knife for protection. And now they're spending the next 15 years of their lives behind bars or dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And so bringing a knife into a conflict is only ever going to make it more dangerous.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that's what you're seeing a lot now, which is quite sad.
Yeah. How long did it take you to recover from the incident?
Recover, like physically or?
Yeah, physically and I guess emotionally as well.
I think physically, at the time, because my life was such a mess anyway, I did question why I was still alive. At that point, I wish I'd died. It took a while to recover physically, because even whilst still having my bandages on, a few weeks later, I got attacked again by another bunch of girls with my bandages still on from the knife. So I think physically it took a while, but emotionally it took even longer, because to me, I wasn't loved in my eyes, and people just wanted to kill me, and people didn't like me. So emotionally it was something that did take a while, but a lot of it was pushed to the back of my mind as well, until I was actually ready to actually deal with what I'd been through, which is a whole other story in itself.
Yeah. But that feeling of like not feeling loved or not feeling like your life was valuable, like that's such a heartbreaking thing for a teenage girl to be feeling.
Yeah.
Do you think like self-esteem plays a lot into how people get involved into this kind of thing?
Yeah, because I feel that when it comes to, especially like carrying a knife and stuff, a lot of people don't have that confidence in themselves. You've got young men, young women that are carrying knives because they want to be a part of a group, or they want to fit in because they don't have that self-love or self-esteem for themselves. So being a part of something bigger, as in a group of people that are probably carrying, that makes them feel better. Like, okay, well, I'm something now, I'm special because I've got a knife.
Yeah.
But I guess if young people valued themselves more, valued their own lives more, and valued other lives more, they wouldn't carry knives. But it's that whole value of life, and there's not much value of life anymore. And even just like, I think a lot of it's to do with like the things that they're watching as well, the games that they're playing, the music that they're listening to.
Yeah.
There's no value. A lot of young people are becoming desensitized to knives and carrying knives.
And you don't always realise it at the time, do you? You think like, oh, I just really like this music. It's just, what makes me feel good. But actually those messages kind of really get under your skin.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Their brains are still developing. So it's going in.
Yeah.
It's going in and it is making a difference, even if they don't think that it is. We all are, like, whatever music we listen to, it can change our emotions.
Yeah.
If I'm driving, I'm listening to classical, I'm driving chilled. So it depends on, like, their emotions, where they are, the brain development. There's so much factors that can affect it.
Yeah. And I think that thing of like where you get your validation from as well, and who you're trying to impress, and what you're doing to try and impress them.
Yeah.
A lot of what we talk about when we take our show into schools is the value of life, and we talk about empowering young people to pave their own path and to think about where they want their life to be in the future and the kind of choices that lead there. And I think that's kind of similar with what you do with your organisation as well, Living Without Limits. Can you tell us a bit more about how you started that?
Yeah, so I started that in 2023. I launched it. And the reason why I started it is because I knew that there was a reason that I'd experienced all the things that I'd experienced. And I didn't want my life to be in vain. I didn't want my experiences to be in vain. And also, I realised that when I was 13, 14, 15, I didn't have someone that spoke to me and said, Chantell, you're going to make it, and, this is what you're going through. I've been through it too. So I wanted to be for these young people who I needed when I was a teenager. And so I started it. I started delivering like mentoring, workshops. In some of these places, there were like police that were there. So then when they heard my story, they then decided that they wanted to do some work with me. And it's just developed in such an amazing way where I've even like been asked to speak at like big serious youth violence conferences as like the keynote speaker. And I'm just like, the voice that was silenced back then is now the voice that everybody wants to hear. And it's such a special position to be in, to be able to use all my experiences to make that difference, and just to give young people that encouragement that you can make it. You don't need to make these decisions. This is what I went through. I understand you. This is what you can do to not go through this. And it's just, it's such a powerful and, a powerful position to be in. I'm really grateful.
Yeah, I think what is amazing about it is that not only are you inspiring young people with what you're telling them, but also like who you are, and the fact that you've come through that and you're now showing that you can turn your life around, you can be successful, you can be like a well-rounded person. Like, that must be amazing.
No, it is. It's so rewarding, because then it makes me realise that there's a purpose in everything that I went through.
Yeah.
Because now I can use all of that. Because there's so many people that have been through stuff, and then it just affects their lives in the sense that it just gets worse and worse, and they don't use it. Whereas I'm just like, I cannot go through all of that and just leave that. I have to use that pain and turn it into something like purposeful.
Yeah.
And if I can use all of that pain and all of those tears and everything that I went through to help another person, even if it's one person, for me, that's a big reward.
Yeah. And I love that focus on just like what you said about the one voice that has been silenced is now the power of speaking that out.
Yeah.
And I think like it's so easy for us to kind of look at a problem and be like, well, it's just too big, I can't do anything about this.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is like transforming individual lives so that they then have the power to transform other people's lives.
To transform others as well, honestly, because some of the young people that I work with, once I've shared my story with them, they've shared with me, and then they tell me, well, miss, when I'm older, I want to be a social worker because I want to help people. And it's just nice to see that they're experiencing things, but they now want to use that to help other people as well. So it's really, really powerful.
Yeah. And it's that healing thing, isn't it? That like when we realise that our stories can impact other people positively, it kind of changes the way that you see your own life and the way that you see other
absolutely.
people.
It really does.
Yeah. So in Switch Up, in our knife crime show, Dan, who's the protagonist, he gets drawn into this gang warfare, into violence, and kind of ends up carrying a knife and being involved. And his behaviour is challenged by his teacher along the way, but also by his best friend Jay's dad. And we wanted to put these adult role models in there because I don't know how common they are these days. Do you often see that like adult role models can be important for young people?
I think adult role models is huge for young people. And the thing is, so many young people don't have role models. They don't have the role models at home.
Yeah.
They'll come into school. They don't really have the role models in school. But I think it's really, really important to have those role models, because if a young person can relate to someone and that person's giving them the right voice and giving them the right direction, that can make a huge difference. Because you get so many young people that are lost and still trying to find their identity, trying to find who they are, trying to navigate their lives. And it is a lot to be a young person. We've all been one before. But if they've got someone that kind of like can coach them, and I think that's why it's so important when I'm doing the mentoring, because they see me as a role model. They see me as someone that's been through something and has changed. And that encourages them to say, well, if your life can change. I had a young girl say to me before, said, Miss, I thought my life was a mess, but now that I've heard your story, I realise that my life can change like yours has. That's a role model.
Yeah.
And I feel like every young person needs a role model.
Yeah.
Even if it's at home, just somebody in their life that can encourage them and say, you know, you're probably doing wrong here, or you're doing this, but, you know, turn this way, come this way, and just coach them to navigate life a bit better.
Do you think as adults we can ever really understand what it's like to be a teenager today?
I guess, because we're living in a whole different world compared to when I was younger. There wasn't even any social media. That's how long it was. Giving away my age. But there was, I think Facebook had just started when I was a teenager.
Bebo.
But I feel like now, social media, but that plays a huge part, especially in everything that we're seeing now as well. But I think we can. I think we just need to be, as adults, we just need to be more open, because young people look at us and think that we haven't been through stuff, because we might have it all together now and they feel like they can't relate to us.
Yeah.
But if we're just open and say, well, I have been through stuff, it might not be as dramatic as what they're going through, but if they can see that someone has been through stuff as well and they've navigated themselves out of it, that can help them.
Yeah.
So I think, it's so important.
Yeah, and I guess it's for us as adults, it's like being generous with our own stories and not feeling like we have to always look like we know what we're doing, because we often don't know what we're doing.
We're all human.
Yeah. When did you start being able to share your story, being open about it?
That took a long time. When I was 23, I decided first to start writing my book. But that took me 10 years to write, because there was so much in there that I didn't want to share.
Yeah.
But I felt that I had to be transparent. But during that time, I started going to like little like poetry events and stuff. So I used to write a lot of poems. And then one day I heard this guy share his story. And again, that's why it's so important. The power of stories is so important, because I heard this guy share his story. And I remember just sitting there, and I was meant to read a poem or share a poem. And I remember just sitting there thinking, I need to share my story.
Wow.
And then I remember my best friend my friend at the time looked over across at me, and she looked at me and she went, Shan, she goes, you need to share your story. She went, all of it. So that was the first time I'd ever shared my story.
Wow.
I put it out on Facebook at the time. And I remember a lot of my family members contacted me the next day, like, you need to take that off. You can't really share that, because there's so much. I shared everything, my whole story. And I remember just thinking, I'm not taking it off. And I explained to my mum, I said, Mum, I said, there's so many people that are going through things. And if I don't share, how is that going to help them? If they've been through what I've been through and I've come out of it, my story could help them. And then from there, my mum understood. And then from then, all my family will come with me to events when I'm sharing my story and stuff now. But it did take a lot.
Yeah.
When my book was published in 2018, that was the first time I actually shared everything fully raw.
Yeah.
But that really took off as well.
Yeah.
So it did take a long time, because there was a lot of shame that I felt that I was under. But the minute I shared my story, the shame just disappeared, because I realised that this story is really powerful and it can help somebody. So I'd rather share my story than someone share it for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And what's your book called?
It's called Beauty for Ashes.
So you talked a bit about when you were a teenager about kind of struggling with feeling valuable or feeling like your life was worth much. And like, I remember from being a teenager, it's just like this constant struggle of trying to work out who you are. And you've got all these outside voices telling you who you should be from all sorts of different pressures. And some of them are negative and some of them are positive. And And I think kind of finding your identity can be a lifelong process, can't it? And we put all this pressure on ourselves to find it really young. So what kind of encouragement would you give to a young person who's like struggling with that sense of who am I and who do I want to be?
That's a really good question. I think I would probably say trust yourself and what you want and who you are, because a lot of our young people today are finding their identity in social media and trying to live up to what they're seeing on social media, not realising that even the influencers and stuff that they're trying to be like, a lot of them don't really have that self-worth themselves either. And I think it's about just trusting who you are and knowing who you are, and not trying to fit into what everybody else is doing. I always say, and I think this is so like huge, it's so amazing to be you, in the sense of, if everyone's being like this, to be the opposite, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Don't try and fit in, be the one that stands out. Standing out is such a powerful thing. And I didn't have any identity when I was younger. I hated myself a lot of the times, but I feel like just knowing who you are and appreciating that. If you look a bit different to everyone else, that's amazing. Do you know what I mean? And not trying to be everyone else that you see, because a lot of the time now we're getting carbon copies. Everyone's trying to look like everybody else, or everyone's trying to have the same face, everyone's trying to have the same body. But I think what is unique is when you're different and you embrace that. That is the most confident thing a person can do, is embrace their own uniqueness and not trying to be like anyone else.
Yeah.
So,
totally.
yeah, I think, does that answer the question?
Yeah, totally. I think one of my favourite phrases is comparison is the thief of joy. And I think social media like forces us just to like compare with people constantly. And we always find ourselves wanting, because we're comparing like our whole selves to this like very curated Instagram or like kind of TikTok video. And it just steals your joy. It steals your joy in who you are and what you've been through. And yeah.
And there's another saying that I've heard recently. It's like, be you because everyone else is taken.
Yeah.
Like, be your authentic self.
Yeah.
Like, being you is what people want. Like, they want you to be you. I don't want to pretend to be someone else and then you're going to love that other person, but it's not truly me. Like, I want to be able to be free in being me. And anyone that accepts me as me, they're the ones that I need to have around me. They're the ones that, you know, I want to be around, because they know me, they see me as me, and they accept that. If I'm trying to be someone else to fit in, that means those people around me, they don't really love the true me. And it's about being authentic. And if you're not authentic, like, what else can you be? Just be you.
Yeah, and I think like what you said about surrounding yourself with people that love the authentic you is also how you discover who you are.
Yeah.
Because I think we can't operate on our own. Like, we need to be in relationship with people, like friends, family, whoever we trust that's around us, who's got our best interests in heart, and who like loves us for who we really are. We can look to them.
And that's freeing again, just to be able to be self.
Yeah.
And everyone just accepts it. Yeah. The ones that don't accept it, they're never meant to be for you anyway. So if they don't accept you, they're not for you. Simple as that. That's how you navigate life.
So at the end of Switch Up, it's a bit of a spoiler alert. Jay's dad intervenes as Dan is about to seek revenge on the gang which have murdered his best friend. And Jay's dad encourages Dan to turn his life around and to choose a different path. What would you say to someone who thinks that it's too late for them to change?
I would say it's never too late. If you have breath in your lungs and you're breathing, you can make a choice. We all have choices. We all have that free will. It's not too late to change. Look at my life. 23, my life kind of started to change then. So for persons like a teenager, you have so much life ahead of you and you don't want to waste it. You can use that to make a difference. So change is possible at any age. As long as we have that breath in our lungs, we can make that choice. Because, you know, like Jay's dad, is it Jay's dad or Dan's dad?
It's Jay's dad.
Jay's dad said to him, you know, you can change, you don't need to make that decision.
Yeah.
That is such a powerful word to give to somebody. And he's very, you know, it's great that he has a dad that speaks to him like that. A lot of young people don't. But I think that change is definitely possible for anybody at any age. We just have to decide that we want that change. And once you decide that you want that change, it's possible.
And what do you think like the first step would be for somebody who was like, right, I've had enough, I need to change my life, I want to be somebody different?
Just think about the choices that you're making.
Yeah.
What impact will that choice be for you, and how would that affect your life going forward? And if it's something that, you know, if you've got a goal that you want to achieve in life, go for it. Living without limits, it's so important.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone put a limitation on you, and most importantly, don't put a limitation on yourself, because so many people are living under limitations, and it's not just limitations that people have put on them, it's the limitations that we ourselves have put on ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we can live our life without limits. But it's just making that first step. Once you take the first step, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's usually, the fear is usually that first step.
Yeah.
Once you take that first step and go through that barrier, the world's your oyster.
Yeah. It just opens up in front of you.
It absolutely does.
Yeah. And I think like that thing of visualization is so important as well. Like you can't live your dreams if you don't have dreams. So it's like imagining what you want your life to look like, who you want to be. And then from that dream, you can kind of work out what the first steps are.
Exactly. And I always say, that's one of the things I always say to the young people. I ask them, I say, what do you want to do in the future? And some of them will be like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, what are you passionate about?
Yeah.
Because that's where our dream is. Whatever it is that you're passionate about, that's where your dream is. If your passion is to help people, there you go. If your passion is to get into filmmaking, and you know that, I always say, if there was no barrier and you could do whatever you wanted to do, what would it be? Because that's what you should go for. And I think that's really important, because a lot of times, like I said, we'll limit ourselves thinking, oh, that's not attainable. I can't reach that. But I say, if there wasn't a barrier, what would you go for?
Yeah.
Okay, then so you can reach it, you can do it, but you've got to put your mind to that.
That's amazing. Yeah. Don't put limits on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't let other people limit you.
And don't limit yourself.
Yeah. So if you could give your 16-year-old self, who's maybe in the midst of all that bullying, who can't see a way out, who's feeling kind of unheard and a small voice, if you could give that person one piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
I would say, Shan, don't give up. You'll make it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just be a friend to that 16-year-old. That's what she needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honour and joy to talk to you this morning.
It's been an honour to be here as well. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And your story is incredibly powerful. And yeah, just thank you for all the work that you're doing in transforming lives.
Thank
I think
you.
It's really amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.